So it's Friday for anyone that needs to know or needs a reminder. It could be, I saw a meme, it was two Sunday or one Wednesday or something like this, but it actually is Friday. And 20 minutes in lockdown. And I have Travis Spiegel with me today, and this is kind of awesome. He is one of the world's leading digital marketing experts. And he's extremely humble, so he'll never tell you that. I'll just say it. I'll out him. But he also is living the dream. He's coming to you from Puerto Rico. He's got a beach house. He loves to surf, and he is the quintessential entrepreneur that has just gone all the way and figured it all out. But we're not going to talk about any of that today. I think much to his relief. We're not going to talk about Facebook ads. We're not going to talk about effectiveness of digital marketing. We're going to do something even more awesome, and I can't wait to share that with you, or I can't wait for him to share it with you. Anyway, Travis, welcome, and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for a living.
Well, thank you. I don't know. You probably said it. I mean, you were very generous with the introduction. I am sort of a digital marketer. I think of myself more as a direct response junkie. Like I was a little kid that would turn off Saturday morning cartoons and watch an infomercial instead of like them making mayonnaise with the Bamex mixer or something like that.
Do you have a ShamWow? Like, are you one of those?
Way before the ShamWow, that thing existed in live demonstrations at, I don't know, swap meets or whatnot. So yes, I had those. So I've always been sort of fascinated with that, but not necessarily the marketing, but the pieces of like those inventions, those things that were really cool and they could like change somebody's life or make their life better. And I always just thought that was really fascinating and that there was like a lot of leverage in that. And yeah, so that has always been sort of in the background, and but everything beyond that was all like, I always just wanted to live this really cool life, and I wanted to help other people do the same thing, because I think we all have like way more potential than we even believe, or that we think we can believe. And so yeah, that's kind of like that's what the whole path has been. It's led me here because, well, this is kind of the easiest thing that I figured out I could do, and live the life and help people do other cool stuff.
I love it. And I'm totally going to out you now, because you're far too humble. So I think, like, when I first met you and you introduced yourself, you're like, I'm Travis, I place Facebook ads and I surf. And then I come to find it's like tens of millions of dollars that you manage in budgets, and it's just highly impressive. So anyway, but you've really kind of had an amazing level of success. But before that, and actually when I first met you, you told a story. And I haven't forgotten that story. And I told you that a couple of weeks ago. It came up again. It hasn't always been easy for you. And I think a lot of us can relate. And I think most of us are going through a moment where we have nothing left to give. Would you agree?
I would agree. I mean, this is challenging, and it's challenging for me. And and I'm usually way on top of this stuff because it's kind of the way we built our life. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Like just being here to talk about that in particular, because I have had, like, my life is pretty successful. And today that there are a lot of accomplishments that you can hang your hat on. And before, and as my career came up, I was always in sales and marketing and different entrepreneurial businesses. And I always done fairly well. Like everything was good. But there was a time where things kind of went south. And I think as entrepreneurs, we run into this often, is ups and downs. And so I'd ridden through a few of those, and then kind of everything started to unravel. I felt like I was living somebody else's life entirely. And so I just kind of threw my hands up and I quit. I sold my fitness business. And I packed up and I moved to Mexico. I wanted to go just like be a surfer. And so I kind of just little mini retirement. And after that, I thought it won't be any big deal. What I'm going to do is I'll come back, I'll start a digital business, and we'll live by the beach. It'll be cool. So I did that. And I tried all of the things, like every rabbit hole you can go down. I did all of the things, and every one of them was kind of successful. Like it worked, but it didn't pay the bills. And so just slowly but surely, I didn't recognize I was just running out. I was running out until one day when there was nothing left. And I finally had to tell my wife now, finally had to just look her in the eye and say, we don't have a place to live at the end of the month. And so we moved into the car and we found, we found a way to make that work. I found a family friend that let me live in their pool house in exchange for rebuilding the property. So labor in exchange for a place to live. So I was was able to make that pretty cool and started digging out of that situation. Sort of doing whatever you could. And just as we were just as things were looking good, I remember this day super vividly because things were good. There was a little bit of money in the bank. We're on our way out. I grab Heidi and I'm like, let's go out to breakfast. We haven't been out to breakfast in months. So we head out the door, and on our way to the car, I get this message on my phone from the bank, and it tells me that my bank account was overdrawn. And I thought that's just got to be wrong. So I called the bank because no sense in going out to breakfast if you don't have any money. I called the bank, and it turns out there was no money. No, they'd taken all of the money out of that account. They'd drained the savings account. They'd taken everything based on some old corporate offset that was according to business. So I literally had nothing left. I had $7 in my pocket, just enough gas to get into town, but not enough to get back home. And it was grocery shopping day too. So everything was wrong. There was nothing. Which
is not unlike where we are right now. Everything is wrong. You talk about go to breakfast. I don't remember what going to breakfast is like, even theoretically.
Exactly.
I would or your business is taken, or your money's not coming, and all of that's exactly what we're all feeling. At that moment when I first heard you talk about this, I couldn't really relate. And now, I am kind of relating. And I think a lot of people watching this are too.
We're kind of all in it. And, and no matter what, just something as simple as going out and getting a cup of coffee, you just can't do it.
Yeah.
And that was the case. That was the case then. And
so what happened at that moment when you said, okay, I've got there's nothing in the bank. There's nowhere to go. I'm not sure if I have somewhere to live. I'm doing labor instead of marketing, or doing all of this stuff that I don't necessarily want to do. I mean, where do you go from there?
Well, at that point, first thing you do is freak out. You try to blame everybody that you can, and then you yell, you scream, and you realize there's nothing that I'm going to change here. So, I mean, at that point, I'd sit down and cry, of course. That's so what you do. But somehow through that and through those tears, some messages start to come into your head. And the weirdest thing I heard, or the weirdest thing that happened, was the message that I got it wasn't really like a message. It was more like a voice. It said, "You will give your way out of this." And I couldn't accept that. There was just nothing in me that believed that at all. I have nothing left to give. I'm asking myself, having this weird conversation with myself. And I wasn't, back then I didn't talk to myself. I might now. But it just kept going. It just kept coming. You will give your way out of this. You will give your way out of this. And so I guess that sets up sort of serendipity. But a day or two later, Heidi comes to me and she shows me this woman that has this sort of beautiful message to share, and a website that just didn't match. She's like, man, I'm talking best-selling books on the bookshelf and things like that, and stuff just didn't make sense. And I thought, well, I'm not a web designer or anything, but I could fix that. And so that's what I did is I got in touch with her. And actually, it took a lot of convincing to convince her that I really didn't want anything. I wasn't trying to sell her anything. I didn't want anything in return. I just wanted to help.
Isn't that amazing that nobody ever believes that when you want to give something, your help, your value? It's always what do you want is the first response. And, even getting over that and trying to, it shouldn't be that hard. It's like selling free.
Yeah. And it's because there is this sort of nature, and there is I guess we're all skeptics because there's always something in it for you, or there's people always, and generally it is quite often there aren't a lot of people that are just giving out of the pure joy of giving. And there is a return for all of us when we do that. is just that. So I think giving is super selfish, no matter what.
I agree. That's a big argument to be made, but I fully agree.
Yeah. And if we're honest, like there is return. So we're getting something in return. Not that that's not selfless or it's not a great thing. But the only way that, and I should mention this, the way that I convinced her that I really just wanted to give it to her for free or just do this for her was that I actually told her the truth. I'm like, I was meditating and I just got this. It just told me that this is what I should do. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, okay. It totally made sense because it was genuinely my character. It was genuinely what I needed to do. And I was honest about it. And then it was more easily believable, I suppose.
So what happened after that? Like, did it just feel good, or, was it an immediate kind of revelation that you should be doing this more often? Or, I mean, what happened?
I don't know that it was an immediate revelation, but it was immediately life-changing because all of a sudden I felt like there was some value. As soon as I started working on it, I mean, and I had nothing else to do. So it's all I was working on. I felt better. And like, oh, there is some value here. I can do something. And that made a huge difference. But it also became the catalyst for everything that kept happening after that, which just unexplainably things got good, or at least headed in the right direction.
No, it's a good fortune, I think, follows, not only the brave, but the giving. And I think this is really relevant. I'm glad you're telling this because so many of us feel this way in one way or another, whether it's we feel like we're not being a good enough parent to our kid because we're trying to balance a million other things and stuck in this house. We feel we're not being great to the people we work with because we can't give all of ourselves, or feel like, do we have enough left for all the people we love after we try to just get through the day? And then even, more than that, just because everything has shifted, I get up every day and I've had these ups and downs in my industry, which is tourism. What am I doing every day? Like, what the hell do I do? I get up and I'm helping everybody. I'm not really getting paid all the time, and where do I go from here? So I think those moments are really relevant.
Yeah. Well, and how's that work? And how's that for you? Like when you're giving more of yourself, like what's the path? You get past the exhaustion, and then you have those days or those hours even where somebody just sends you an email and says, oh my God, thank you so much for always putting a positive spin on something, or just sending, just being honest with how you're feeling. Because lots of, I do a lot of different newsletters and things like that. And I kind of always share how I'm feeling, like, hey, this shit sucks. I feel pretty bad today, or I feel good today. But I think when you give, and it just comes naturally to most of us. We just have to allow it, I think. Sometimes it's a natural resistance because we're mad about something else. I think when we allow ourselves to give, and also when we allow giving in to ourselves, we accept help, which is also incredibly important and difficult, we just naturally feel better and nothing becomes a chore, even in the hardest of times. I mean, that's at least how it is for me. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, in that situation, as things started getting better, it just felt like I started seeing the world differently. I started seeing every time, like the first thing that happened after I did that website is somebody showed up to pay me for a project that had been owed that I forgot about. And it was like $300 or something, but it felt like I won the lottery. And more so than I thought about what that was doing for me, it was just like, I felt like I had more to give. Like I had enough to give us and take care of our situation, but also like there was just more to give. And it set this, like, that was like this brilliant cascade of, oh, every time I have something, I have just a little bit more to give. So as my life got better, it was always like every little thing. And even if it was just a smile that you had to give and you got a smile back, it's like, ooh, I've got another smile to give. Like it just was
exactly.
It was that kind of thing.
Cascade is the perfect word. And, I think, it's interesting because I think we are giving so much, and somebody has a question here. How does one balance time between giving to others and sustaining oneself? Because like, hey, that's the important part, go to the oxygen mask theory and all of that. Because there are most days I'm a single parent, primarily, and for all intents and purposes, rather, and I'm running a couple businesses or trying to put band-aids on them at the moment, and sometimes you just come last, and you have to find, I don't know, maybe it's Candy Crush at night or whatever the heck you need to do, but you need to find something for yourself. I mean, how do you balance when everything else is so highly critical at this moment where everything's so compressed?
Well, it is super challenging. Like it's challenging. I see this thing as the sort of philosophy that I developed out of this was the idea of give more and live more. And it's sort of a cycle. And so giving yourself the ability to live more. And so that's what I consider sort of self-giving. And then you have more to give, because it is that put your mask on first. Like you have to take care of yourself, make sure you're okay, then go ahead and take care of others. And sometimes what all you have left to give is a smile or a kind word or just a kind way of saying, no, I don't have time for that right now, but I love you. Like whatever that is, like it's just a little thing to where you still are giving. You're always giving something. You're always giving something that has value to the other side. And that's the way I approach business too, which I just feel like I have to mention, is that I always look at things not as like give, ask, but just give, and then give people an opportunity to transact or exchange with you, because them giving back in a sense, or having the opportunity to go deeper into a relationship through some sort of transaction is also another gift. And that's a massive shift in thinking and in technique, but it's been remarkably effective for just a better life.
I think so too, a more authentic one, just at the core happier. And I think when we're so overwhelmed, I think that's the last thing that we can think of sometimes, like you want what, I've done everything today. But in business, I would say, and I know we weren't going to talk business, but I think we have to, exactly. The stuff that you can do sometimes isn't rocket science. People want to deal with you because it's you, not always the way you do it. Yeah, I'm certain it's, the way you do it is special, but they have that relationship with you. And if you're giving more value, more time, and not, asking or not grumbling about it, you're going to be the one that not only they're going to stick with, but they're also going to refer to other people. And, with customer service too, you'll walk into a store, and if something's wrong, you want somebody to come over and fix it before it even became a problem, versus the pushback. I mean, I think we see all of these things, but sometimes it's hard to remember them.
Absolutely. It's all about human connection. And I mean, especially right now, like it's such a challenging thing because we've been disconnected physically and in a much different way than we ever have. And it's still, business is about those same human connections. And it's so giving, like none of this is separate. This is all like, it's all integrated. And so connecting, giving, and business, they're all the same thing. And like when we talk about business, and a lot of where a lot of that for me is advertising with Facebook. And one of the things that I have to go back to all the time is convincing people that it's a social medium where this is really just about connecting with people. So if you tell your story and you're connecting with people, their interest will change in your product or service.
Hitting a touch point. Yeah. And I know I've been talking about this a lot lately offline, like products that I never thought would exist. How do they resonate with people? Because they strike you with something that aggravates you and they solve a problem. And I think, you're in a unique position where you get to explain that to people, I think, in a fun way, in a creative way. So how do we give ourselves out of this situation with this virus? Any words of wisdom? What do we do? Because all of us are out of ideas. We're out of, like crafts, we're out of projects, we're out of, all my closets in my house are neat. Like what do we do to get through the rest of this? Because this is just overwhelming.
It is indeed overwhelming, and this is different than any time ever. But what I think is most important is just stop trying so hard and recognizing that we always have something to give, that you just a smile, like doing this right here, where we have just the ability to connect and give just a little piece of reality, genuine human contact. Those things are remarkably valuable right now. and positivity. Anything that shifts your attention from the news and the dread, like, man, what a gift that is right now. And every piece of that puzzle, it's like, it's attractive, and it creates more opportunity. And so, like, I really just think if we can stop thinking about trying so hard to get out of it or to get ahead, and just start being who we are and just genuinely doing what feels good, like, I think we're going to be okay.
I like that. And I think this, if anything, it's opened us up to things that we probably never thought we'd enjoy, but can make something out of, you know? And I know even in my business, I've made a couple of shifts that I didn't see coming, you know? And now all of a sudden I'm like, all right, I kind of see the new track here, and it seems to be working. I'm going to ask you this as a final, and I'm sorry, but I put you on the spot, but I know I can't without asking, as someone who has so much expertise as you do in the Facebook world, and the age-old question, what makes a good Facebook ad? If you would.
What makes the one thing?
The one thing.
The one thing. I will tell you there are two things. Okay. The first thing is a really amazing offer. Like the most important thing is that you care about people and you're doing something that actually changes their life in a positive way. And the second thing that makes a great Facebook ad is a story that connects with people. Okay. If there's a story that connects the genuine you with another human, and then your offer is a logical extension of that story, then you have a winner.
Love it. Well, thank you. 20 minutes has gone by very quickly, but I really appreciate this. This has been brilliant. And I know a lot of people will take some good giving ideas away from this. And it's just always a good reminder.
Yeah, it's super good to see you. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad you're doing this. This is a cool way to give your way out of this thing.
Exactly. Well, thanks for giving your time. I'll talk to you soon.
You're welcome. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.